Hey everyone, welcome to the Yo-Yo Room. I'm Dazzling Dave, and if you didn't know it, it's Fixed Axle February. That's right, in partnership with the guys over at the Yo-Yo Boomers Club, I'm one of the sponsors of Fixed Axle February this year. And what that means is we encourage people to play with a fixed axle yo-yo, whether it be one of my classic manta rays, my player edition solid one-piece maple, my collector series, which is a multiple kinds of wood, specialty yo-yos, or any other fixed axle out there in the world. We want you to pick that yo-yo up, show it some love, do some cool tricks, and you can get entered in for prizes at this year's Fixed Axle February. And the prizes this year, guys, is going to be one of my player edition of the heirloom series with the special engraving of Fixed Axle February on it. So if you want to win one of these, go learn all the tricks that you can find over at Yo-Yo Boomer Club. Upload yourself doing those tricks and you will get a chance to win one of these cool prizes. And today, whether you're here for Fixed Axle February or just to learn a couple of cool tricks, I'm going to do a short tutorial on some of the tricks that you can learn using one of these yo-yos. And the one I'm actually playing with right now is special. It's a new design I've come up with, a high wall butterfly with curved outer edges, which kind of makes this yo-yo my everyday carry because it can do looping tricks, but it can also do string tricks. Today, I'm going to talk about the looping style tricks. First one is an inside loop. The forward pass is where you go out and catch it. Well, a loop is where instead of catching it, you flip it right back out there. So if you're brand new to yo-yoing, you throw it out and instead of catching it, you flip it back out. Now, what you really have to work on here is it's all in the wrist. It's kind of a flick of that wrist out, 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 and it requires perfect timing. Right when it gets your hand, at the last second, is when you flick it right back out. And for the entry, we're going to want you to be able to do 3 loops. 1, 2, 3. A heck of a challenge, but work on getting nice and smooth, nice and straight. And you'll notice that I have it slightly tilted out to the angle here. And that's because it's easier to keep a yo-yo tilted at an angle constantly than it is to try to keep it straight up and down the whole time. So that's kind of known as the control tilt. Keep it slightly controlled out, and you can do loop-de-loops. The next trick I want to talk about is an outside loop-de-loop. It's the same thing as inside, except for you're doing it on the outside of your arm. You're literally flipping your wrist. And this one's a little bit more of a challenge because your wrist doesn't bend that way naturally. So you kind of got to use your fingertips to flick it out there like this. And again, we're going to want you to try to do 3 of those for an entry. 1, 2, 3. So we've got inside loop, outside loop. I guess the third entry you could do is inside-outside combined, and that's 1, 2, 3. Notice we went on the inside there. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and just go to that outside twice. Last 2 tricks I'm going to cover are a little bit more challenging. Give it a try. Warp drive is the first one. Starts like that forward pass, but instead of catching it, you're going to loop it into and around the world like this. Up and around the world. That's once. 1, 2, and 3 is what was required for doing a true warp drive. All out about timing, all about snapping it up and around and keeping it sleeping all the way around. That's tough. A lot of times it wants to snag back on you and do a loop-de-loop. You want it to cruise on the outer edge just like that, all the way up and around 3 times to be considered a warp drive. And I show you that one because it's a lot like the inside loops. It can build on your inside loop trick. And finally, this last one kind of is built off of the outside loops. It's a regenerated trapeze. You throw a trapeze, and from that trapeze, you pop it up and throw it again. Now you'll notice I threw it over the outside of my hand. Well, it's a lot like outside loop-de-loops, right? Except for instead of it just looping, you're having it land on the string. That's regenerated trapeze. And to get your entry at the Yo-Yo Boomer Club contest for Fixed Axle February, we want you to land it on the trapeze 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. That's not easy. That's a heck of a challenge. Go for it. Have fun. Thanks for joining us here for Fixed Axle February. And thanks to the guys at Yo-Yo Boomer Club for asking me to be a sponsor. I'm looking forward to seeing all the entries.